לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, מסרו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני, שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני, כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני, ברכו שמו, בסרו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסרו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בגויים כבודו, לכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד,
Adonai, Uzamer l'shimecha elyon, l'shimecha elyon. Uzamer, l'shimecha elyon. Tov, tov, tov leodot, tov leodot l'Adonai. Tov, tov, tov leodot, tov leodot l'Adonai. Le'agid baboker chastecha ve'emunatcha baleilot, baleilot. Tov, tov, tov leodot, tov leodot l'Adonai. Tov, tov, tov leodot, tov leodot l'Adonai.
Shabbat Shalom. It's nice to be together on this sunny day with the sun streaming through our beautiful stained glass windows. We got a little glare over here, but it'll be fine in a few moments. But to find the peace and community that so many of us seek. On the bottom of page 67, we share in an inspiration for prayer, reading responsively. Good? Okay. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship.
May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, and hopes to nurture.
May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity.
May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet.
May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness.
May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life.
Whatever it is that brings you to our sacred space, whether it's here in the sanctuary or joining us on live stream, we hope that this is a space that fills you with peace and refreshment during this Shabbat that we celebrate together. We turn now to page 77 as we begin our service offering prayers for the gifts of gratitude for the blessing of our bodies and our souls. We join together on the top of page 77. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe. With divine wisdom, you have made our bodies, combining veins, arteries, and vital organs into a finely balanced network. Wondrous maker and sustainer of life, were one of them to fail, how well we are aware. We would lack the strength to stand before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of our health and strength. Baruch atah Adonai, rofei kol basar, umafli la'asot. Page 78.
Elohai, neshama shenatata bi torai, atah v'rata, atah yitzarata, atah nefachta bi, v'atah meshamera b'kirbi. Neshama b'kirbi, modani lefanecha, Adonai Eloi v'Elahei avotai, modani lefanecha, Adonai Eloi v'Elahei motai, ribon kol masim, Adon kol neshamot, Baruch atah Adonai, asher beyado, nefesh kol chai, veruach kol besar ish.
We continue together on page 83, reading responsively. As I awaken, let this be my thought. May my day be filled with acts of loving kindness. Let me be drawn to learning and discernment, and may my actions be shaped by mitzvot.
Keep me from iniquity, disgrace, and sin. May I not be overwhelmed by temptation or despair.
Distance me from evil people and false friends. Let me cultivate a life of goodness.
May my hands reach out in kindness, and I will serve God through acts of righteousness.
Today and every day may I merit your mercy by living my life with compassion and love.
Holy One of blessing, draw me to your words. Teach me the art of sacred living.
Baruch ata Adonai, hamelamed chasadim tovim le'amo Yisrael. On page 106, we rise for Chatzi Kaddish and remain standing through the Shema.
Yitkadav, yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah, Amen. V'amad yivrach chirutei, v'yamnich malchutei, v'chayachon v'yomechon, v'chayirechu b'it Yisrael. V'agala v'zeman kariv, v'meru, Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevorach, le'olam olamei amaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitbar v'yitjalma v'yitnaseh, v'yitador v'yitala v'yitala, Shemei l'kodesha b'reichu, le'ila min kol b'chata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, dar miron be'olema, v'meru, Amen. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed, Le'olam Va'ed. Yalalai, 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 yalalai,
On page 110, we continue with Yotzer, or giving thanks to God for the gift of creation. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Yotzer or uvarei choshech, oseh shalom uvarei etakol, hameir la'aretz v'ladarim aleha berachamim, uvtuvo mechadesh bechol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reshit. Ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam bechokma asita, mal'ah ha'aretz kinyanecha, titbarach Adonai Eloheinu, al shevach ma'aseh yadecha, va'al me'orei or she'asita yefa'arucha sela. Or chadash al tzion ta'ir, v'nizkeh chulanu mehira le'oro, baruch ata Adonai, yotzer ha'me'orot. On the bottom of 113, we read together. Love your neighbor as yourself, you said. And light-blinded we saw that inner and outer worlds are one as you are one. You spoke and we wrote. We reached for you down the centuries. Your light moving before us as we climbed, fell back, and climbed again. Your Sinai of life, page 112, the Ha'er Einenu.
V'ha'er einenu b'toratecha, v'dabek libeinu b'mitzvotecha, v'yachet levaveinu le'ahava u'yirat shemecha, v'lo nevosh, v'lo nikalem, v'lo nikashel le'olam va'ed. Ki v'shem kodshecha hagadol v'hanora b'tochnu Nagila v'nismecha Nagila v'nismecha b'shuatecha V'kerav tanu l'shimcha hagadol sela be'emet להודות לך ולייחדך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני, הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני seated. Please join with me on page 116 with Ve'ahavta. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha u'kashartam leot ayadecha ve'hayu litotafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem emet.
Emet. On page 121, we read responsively. The eternal truth is that you alone are God, and there is none else.
May the righteous of all nations rejoice in your love and exult in your justice.
Let them beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks.
Let nation not lift up sword against nation, nor learn war anymore.
You shall not hate your brother or your sister in your heart.
The stranger that sojourns with you shall be accepted as your equal, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt.
Why do you crush my people and oppress the poor, asks God.
We know that the Eternal One defends the poor and upholds the rights of the needy.
Praise to God Most High. Blessed is God and deserving of blessing.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nor atilot osef ele, shira chadasha shibchu geulim, leshim lechol sefatayam, yachad kulam hodu, vehimlichu ve'ameru, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Tzu Yisrael, Kuma, Kuma, Bezrat
we rise for the tefillah on page 124.
Yalalai, lai, 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 Adonai. Yalalai, lai, lai, sfatai tiftach. Yalalai, lai, lai, ufi yagid. Ufi yagid tehilatecha. Yalalai, lai, 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 Adonai. Yalalai, lai, lai, sfatai tiftach. Yalalai, lai, lai, ufi yagid. Ufi yagid tehilatecha. Yalalai, lai, 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 Adonai. Yalalai, lai, lai, sfatai tiftach. Yalalai, lai, lai, ufi yagid. Ufi yagid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'hanora, Eloyon, Komel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chastei Avot v'imahot, U'mevii geulah livnei v'neihem, Lema'an Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah rav lehoshia, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechakel chaim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'rofeh cholim, U'matir asurim, U'mekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, U'midom melech, Melech memit u'mechayeh, U'motzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lahachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Nekadesh et shemecha ba'olam, Keshem shemakdishim oto b'shmei marom, Kakatov ayad neviecha, V'kara zeh zeh ve'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Meloch ol haaretz, Kevodo, Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonenu, Adir Shemecha, B'chol haaretz, Baruch kevod Adonai, Mimkomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, Hu Avinu, Hu Malkeinu, Hu Moshienu, V'hu Yashmienu, V'rachamav lehinei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Imloch Adonai le'olam, Elohayich Tzion, ledor ושפחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
You may be seated. On page 132, we continue with the singing of Vishamru, recognizing the gift that God gives us when we are commanded to rest, to refresh, to observe Shabbats.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
On page 137, we read together. On this holy Shabbat, may we draw nearer to life, to peace, and to joy. May we find true rest, holiness in our deeds, worth in our study of Torah. Let us feed on the love of goodness. Let us drink from the love of goodness. Restrain our thirst for excess and cleanse our hearts to serve life well. On this holy Shabbat, may we draw nearer in life, in peace, and in joy. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadecha b'yirah na'avod. On page 138, we continue. We acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai, our God, and the God of our ancestors forever. Join with me. You are the rock of our lives and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and for your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one whose mercies never end, O compassionate one whose kindness never fails, we forever put our hope in you. For all these things, O sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. Page 140, our prayer for peace. Sim shalom.
Sim, sim, sim shalom. Sim shalom tova ubracha. Sim, sim, sim shalom tova ubracha. Chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael amecha. Barucheinu yotzeinu kolanu kechad be'or panecha. וצדקה וברכה, רחמים וחיים ושלום. שים שלום, שים שלום טובה וברכה. שים שלום טובה וברכה. Please take a moment now for your own silent prayers. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, be acceptable to you.
Seder Kriyat Torah, service for the reading of Torah, page 245. Assemble the people, men, women, and children, and the strangers in your cities, to hear, to learn, to revere Adonai your God, to observe faithfully the words of this Torah. And let their children who do not yet know it hear, that they too may learn to revere Adonai your God. We rise in honor of the Torah.
Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, haolam omer, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, haolam omer. Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim. Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al gemilut chasadim.
On the bottom of page 247, we read responsively, "In this scroll is the secret of our people's life from Sinai until now."
Its teaching is love and justice, goodness and hope. Freedom is its gift to all who treasure it. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah. Le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadlul Adonai iti, unomema Shemo yachtav. Lecha Adonai hagdulah v'hagvura v'hatiferet בשמיים ובארץ. לך אדוני המלך ברכה ומתנשא לכל ראש. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. יאללה לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. יאללה לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
You may be seated. There's a lot of people out there. We're going to take a few moments to look at part of this week's Torah portion, Shmot, which is the first portion in the book of Exodus. And then for all those who would like to come up and share in a Torah blessing and Torah reading, I'll invite you to come on up and join us on the bima. But we start off our Torah portion as we were studying this morning in Torah study, learning that, after Joseph died, which was at the very end of Vayechi, the book of Genesis, that all of Jacob's family and all the extended relatives were still there, and that after many generations, perhaps 400 years, a Pharaoh arises who does not know Joseph, does not remember that Joseph foretold that there would be famine and saved not only Egypt, but really the entire Mesopotamian basin by helping them prepare for the famine that was going to come, that lasted for 7 years, according to the Torah. And the people are there, and they're growing in number, and at a certain point, the Pharaoh becomes fearful of them and winds up oppressing and then enslaving them. And Shifra and Pua, the midwives, are told that they're supposed to, I'm just telling the story while Cantor Berlin is passing out the sheets. Thank you, Cantor Berlin. Shifra and Pua, who are the midwives, who are the head of the midwives perhaps, are told by Pharaoh to kill all of the Hebrew babies, but they fear God and do not do that. Afterwards, of course, because of this, Moses is born. His mother and his sister conspire to save him, and Miriam works it out with Pharaoh's daughter to adopt Moses, but then sends him home with his mother to be taken care of while he grows up. He grows up in the palace, suddenly has a sense of social justice and awareness of the enslavement of the Hebrew people. He kills a taskmaster amongst the slave drivers, I suppose, and rather than the Hebrews feeling glad about this, they say, "What are you doing? You're going to get us in more trouble." He runs away. He's worried that he's going to be attacked. He meets Jethro's daughters, and he marries one of them. He becomes a shepherd. Whew. Okay, there we go. Now we're in chapter 3 of Exodus. You should read chapters 1 and 2. And he, while he's shepherding his sheep, he comes upon a sneh, a bush that is burning, but it's not consumed, right? He's paying very close attention to his surroundings, obviously, because you have to look at a bush for quite some time to notice that it's burning, but it's not burning up. And then God tells him to come closer, take off his sandals, that he's in hallowed holy ground. And God tells Moses, "You are going to be the one to free the Hebrews, to end their enslavement." Moses does not say, "Cool, sign me up." Moses is not interested, really. He's nervous. It's a huge task. And so he wants to at least know, what am I supposed to tell these Hebrews when I go to talk to them? Who's supposedly going to save them, right? And God tells Moses. So that's where we are in our story. It is a wonderful, powerful story. We're going to focus in on what God's name is in this moment. What is it that God says to Moses? What does that mean for us? So, Andrew, will you read the Exodus text for us?
Moses said to God, "When I come to the Israelites and say to them, 'The God of your father's house has sent me to you,' and they ask me, 'What is God's name?' what shall I say to them?" And God said to Moses, "Eyeh asher eyeh," continuing, "Thus shall you say to the Israelites, 'Eyeh sent me to you.' And God said further to Moses, "Thus shall you speak to the Israelites, 'Adonai, the God of your father's house, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob has sent me to you. This shall be my name forever, this my appellation for all eternity."
So we have two names, two cryptic names that God shares. One, Ehiyah, Asher Ehiyah, right? We're going to talk about that. And then the God of your ancestors, of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob, Adonai, right? Which doesn't really say Adonai. It says Yud, He, Vav, He. 4 vowels. So we don't really know how to pronounce that, which we will see in just a moment. But Ehiyah, Asher Ehiyah, it's not up there. My previous synagogue, the ark was a burning bush, and it said it right above there. That was weird. Okay. In my mind's eye, that's what it says over the ark. And so what an interesting question for Moses to ask. Rambam tries to make sense of that. Dimitri, will you read the Rambam for us?
How is it that Moses assumed the Israelites would ask such a question, since they already knew God's name? Thus, Moses understood that the Israelites would want proof of the existence of omnipotent being before they would begin to consider the idea that Moses would free them. God gave this proof in the words "Ehiyah," I shall be, denoting an existence without any cause. Thus, God's true essence cannot be attributed to any reason or accident. God exists because God exists, and God's existence is intrinsic.
So Rambam, otherwise known as Maimonides, a neo-Aristotelian philosopher, theologian, also doctor, right? His idea about God is that God is beyond all knowing, and God is the a priori, the initial power and force in the universe that creates everything else. So he's asking this question, doesn't Moses already know that the Hebrews have a God, right? Why is it that he would ask such a question? And for Maimonides, it's to say, the God that you believed in before has been there all along. And even if you haven't been able to access God's power or God's saving power yet, it's always been there. God's existence is intrinsic. You have to understand that I am not just the God of the past or even the God of the present, but Ehiyah, I will be. What my presence will be in your life may yet be unknown, because you are going to have to stand up and be part of what your redemption is all about. Okay, so we always want to ask, what is the question Rashi is asking? I think it's a similar one, which is, God, where have you been? Right? If we've believed in you all along, we've been suffering, right? Why now? Why now? Woody, will you read the Rashi for us? Wait for the cantor so everyone can hear you.
Too fast.
And I'm excited.
Moses was actually asking about how the Holy One could possibly protect the children of Israel during this troubled time. And God's answer, I shall be with them in their present sufferings, as I shall be with them in their future sufferings. Let them pray to me, and I will be there.
I really love this commentary because it doesn't promise that God is going to fix things, right? It doesn't say, because the question of, well, where was God? Couldn't have God just snapped God's proverbial finger, even though God is not a human form, right? And just freed the Israelites, right? But that's not what God's presence is in the world. And I think it's amazing that Rashi would present such a modern idea, which is, yes, God sees that they're suffering. God's there to help them through, to be there with them so that they have the strength to keep going. Not that God is going to use a godly power to change the course of history, but just enable them to make their way through and survive. Anna, will you read the Talmud for us?
To this Moses replied, and evil in its own time is enough. Why should you imply to them that there would be future exiles? Is it not enough that they suffer now in Egypt?
So these two commentaries go together, right? So if God is saying, I've been with them in the past, I'm with them now, I'll be with them in the future, right? Moses is like, what are you saying? That there's going to be even more bad times to come, right? Like, what? But it's so real. Of course there are going to be sufferings to come. Even if everything appears perfect on the outside, there's still going to be suffering. No one's life is without disappointment or suffering. And so that God will be there with them no matter what is really the power that is going to enable the Israelites to believe enough not only in God, but in themselves to take the steps they need to take to finally be free. All right. Rabbi Yaakov, Moshe, Connie, will you read that for us?
By paying close attention to the tense, we understand the mystery of redemption is mainly something that is yet to be revealed.
Right, so all of them are really focusing in on the fact that the word ehiyeh, asher ehiyeh, which is often translated as I am what I am, right, is actually written in the future tense. I will be that which I will be. I'll be here for you in the ways you need me to be. I've always been there. I'm ever changing, not because I'm changing, but because you're changing, right? Val, will you read the Lawrence Kushner?
Scholars have suggested that a reasonable translation of the four-letter name of God might be one who brings into being all that is. So God's name is the name of being itself. And since God is holy, then so is all creation. At the burning bush, Moses asks God for God's name, but God only replies with Ehei Asher Ehei, often incorrectly rendered by the static English, I am who I am. But in truth, the Hebrew future is unequivocal, I will be who I will be. Here is a name and a God who is neither completed nor finished. This God is literally not yet.
So what's amazing is even with this fairly obtuse response by God to Moses, it's enough. It's enough for him to take his initial steps towards going back to the Hebrews, to standing up to Pharaoh, to starting that spiral of events which will eventually lead to the Israelites' redemption from slavery in Egypt. Just knowing that there is a power there beyond them that can inspire them and strengthen them, that's what they need to hear. What kind of excuses could God have actually given for why he had enabled them to stay in slavery for all those years, right? So it's the perfect answer, which is to say, there aren't always clear-cut answers as to why the world is the way it is, but God's presence is there in our suffering now, and if we happen to suffer in the future, God's strength will still yet be there for us as we need it, as we'll see in the weeks to come as we read this wonderful story in our Torah. So the cantor's going to chant these verses for us. If you'd like to come up and see Torah up close and personal, share in a communal blessing, I invite you. Please don't be shy. Come on up here. And if not, you can just follow along on your sheets. Okay, share with me in the blessing. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvarach. Baruch Adonai hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch ata Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Vayomer Moshe el Elohim, Hine Anochi va el Bnei Israel, ואמרתי להם, אלוהי אבותיכם שלחני עליכם, ואמרו לי, מה שמו, מה אומר עליהם? ויאמר אלוהים אל משה, אהיה אשר אהיה. ויאמר כה תאמר לבני ישראל, אהיה שלחני עליכם. ויאמר עוד אלוהים אל משה, כה תאמר אל בני ישראל, Adonai, Elohei Avotechem, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Ve'Elohei Yaakov Shalachani Aleichem, Ze Shemi Leolam, Ve'Ze Zichri Ledor Dor.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. In the presence of Torah, I invite those of you who are up here to come close and to, to come close and hold Torah if you would like, as we offer prayers for those who face the future not fully whole. Mishaberach, Avotenu, Abraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov, v'Imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our ancestors before us bring strength to all those who struggle against sickness, wholeness to all those who long to be healed. We join prayers for those in our own hearts, in our own lives, with those listed in our order of service, those in our world in need of healing. As we offer personal prayers, we sing the words of Mishaberach together.
Mishaberach Avotenu, Kol habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu, Mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We make ready to return our Torah to the ark. We lift our Torah high as we turn to page 252. 52. Please rise in honor of the Torah.
וזאת התורה שעשה משה לפני בני ישראל, על פי אדוני ביד משה. וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל, על פי אדוני ביד משה. יאי לי 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 לי, יאי לי 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 לי, יאי לי 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 לי. Page 256. It's chaim hi, lamach azikim ba, v'torah
continue with the concluding portion of our service. Aleinu is on page 283.
Aleinu shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotzer bereshit, shehu samech elkeinu liached et shemo, vegor aleinu lamlich malchuto, vanachnu koreim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech, malchei hamlachim, hakadosh, ruchu, v'nemar, v'haya Adonai, l'melech hakol haaretz, v'yom hahu, yeh Adonai echad. Ushmo, Ushmo, Ushmo echad.
You all may be seated. As we turn to page 289 for our memorial meditation, we note with sadness the death of Keith Diamond, husband of Barbara, father of Nanette and Nichelle, and grandfather of Catherine Bourgeois and Temple Beth-El member Emily Bourgeois. Funeral services will take place next week in California. In nature's ebb and flow, God's eternal law abides. When tears dim our vision or grief clouds our understanding, we often lose sight of God's eternal plan. Yet we know that growth and decay, life and death all reveal a divine purpose. God, who is our support in the struggles of life, is also our hope in death. We have set God before us and shall not despair. In God's hands are the souls of all the living and the spirits of all flesh. Under God's protection we abide, and by God's love are we comforted. O life of our life, soul of our soul, cause your light to shine into our hearts and fill our spirits with abiding trust in you. On this Shabbat, we consecrate the yard sites observed in our congregation this week of Bernard Aaron, Jean Aaron, Shuri Abrams, William Alterman, Arlene Arriaga, Stephen Arange, A. Melvin August, Morris Belden, Nancy Berkman, Cyril A. Brown, Lawrence Lee Brown Sr., C.E. Bird, Gerald Jerry Carduner, Ollie Hausman Cates, Malcolm Cohen, Frank Cook, Minnie Davis, Joseph Harry Eisenberg, Erna Epstein, Martin Epstein, Moises Isaac Feiner, Vera Sugarman Fine, Charles E. Forgotson, Aaron Forlin, Sis Friedman, Daniel Garza, Rabbi Nelson Gluck, Alice Goldhaber, Ada Mae Good, Barry Gornick, Nancy Hall, Shirley Halperin, Benjamin F. Harris, Francis Herrick, Ellie Jackson, Joe Karotkin, Beatrice Klein, Evelyn Koenig, Selma Levy-Laser, Sidney Levine, Shirley Levinson, Henry Lieberman, Lillian Long, Anita Lowe, Hannah Levy-Massacre, Lola Netter, Zelda Planto Novi, Jesse A. Oppenheimer, David L. Pincus, Miriam Pullman, Rose Rosenfield, Mary Joyce Rosenthal, Sadie Rosenthal, Michael Schwartz, Max Sherman, Ernest A. Simon, Lizette Temple, Cloney Thompson, Marion Ungerleader, Philip Wallach, Haiti Weinstein, Marie Weiss, Elaine Pudd Westheimer, Jean White, Elizabeth Wiederman, Daniel Wright, Cecil Wolfe, and Sari Zimmerman. To their memories, we link the names of those who in the last 30 days, Shloshim, have been laid to their eternal rest. We remember Dr. H. Norman Abramson, Mary Sivan, Rose Kamen, Jane Bankler, Shirley Hoffman, Dr. Hugh Wolfe, Jeanette Renteria, and Mark Rogo. And to their memories, we add one who died this past week, their family in a period of Shiva. We remember Kathy Nye, cousin of Temple Beth-El member Jerry Gregory. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for blessing, along with the memories of those who we hold in our own hearts every day. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled as we rise together, one congregation, turning to page 294 to share in the words of Kaddish together. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'yizman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivarach le'olam omei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitodar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudashah b'rechu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiram be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, amen. Our closing song is Eila Chamda Libi on page 300. That's not the right page number, is it? Oh, cool. Page 338, Eila Chamda Libi. Join us after our services in the stall gallery for Kiddush and Motzi and light refreshments.
Eila Chamda Libi, Chusana ve'ana titalem. Eila Chamda Libi, Chusana ve'ana titalem. Eila Chamda Libi, Chusana ve'ana titalem.
Shabbat Shalom.